Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1997 action thriller Face Off, starring Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club, it's like a book club. Each week I'll discuss a certain movie, a forgotten classic, a guilty pleasure. You can respond and I'll talk about it on the show. You can reach me each week on our page on Facebook, the original B Movie Club. You can also reach me on our page on YouTube, KD9575. Make sure you subscribe. It's absolutely free. And don't forget to like our page on Facebook. Hit the little thumbs up button. Also, you can reach me anytime you'd like on Twitter at KD9575. Face Off. In this, you got an international terrorist, Castor Troy, played by Nicolas Cage, who's being chased by FBI agent Sean Archer, played by John Travolta. Early on, we discover that Castor Troy tried to assassinate Sean Archer and accidentally murdered his 6-year-old son. Good way to start a movie. Anyway, so a lot's going on. They finally get a beat on where Troy is at. He's planted a bomb somewhere. They manage to capture him, but he's murdered. Castor Troy gets murdered during the attack, basically. There's a big scene with like a jet engine. He gets smashed. And anyway, so he's dead. So happy days are here again. Sean Archer, who's kind of a morbid, driven kind of personality now, it's like, oh, great weight is lifted off his shoulders. He can get reacquainted with his wife and his other child, his daughter, who's still living. He can be a better father. Oops, but we've discovered Castor Troy's not really dead. In fact, he's in a coma. He's being kept alive. Why, you ask? Because we've discovered there's a bomb. So they don't know where it is. They don't know when it's going to go off. They found the schematics for it, so they're very concerned. Castor has a twin brother named Pollux, Troy, who they managed to arrest, but he's not talking. He's not going to tell anybody what's going on. So what do? Luckily, there's a new process, medical procedure, where they could take the face off Castor Troy and put it on Sean Archer so he can go undercover and talk to the younger brother, and maybe he'll reveal what the story is. So I know what you're thinking. Hey, that's impossible. Just changing the face, that's not enough. I mean, so there's a whole procedure. They'll cut his hair. They'll give him liposuction, because in case you missed it, John Travolta's a little chubby, where Nicolas Cage is a little wiry. They'll do all this stuff. They'll put a microchip in his throat so his voice sounds like Nicolas Cage, and so there you go. So he agrees to do this, but to do that he's got to go undercover, like in a crazy futuristic penitentiary. And so he finds out where the bomb is, and when he's about to be released, who comes walking in the door but Sean Archer? Apparently, Castor Troy broke out of his coma, discovered what had happened, and had Sean Archer's face put on. So now they've effectively switched places. To all the world, Castor Troy is in prison, but remember, it's not really Castor Troy, it's Sean Archer in disguise. While Sean Archer is acting kind of crazy, but we know it's not really Sean Archer, it's Castor Troy. Are you confused yet? Very good. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. They managed to stop the bomb. Castor Troy, Sean Archer, escapes from prison to try to reclaim his life, and the cops are after him. So you got Sean Archer with the cops, okay, but remember, it's not Sean Archer, it's Castor Troy. I find this very difficult to describe. Anyway, there's kind of a role reversal. Anyway, it's a lot of action. I highly recommend it. Directed by the famed Chinese film director John Woo, who had done Hard Target, which we've discussed also previously to this. There's a lot of certain scenes. Initially, when the script was written, it had been written 15 years prior to this. It was set in the future because, they have all the change in faces and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't happen nowadays. But he decided to change it into kind of a modern day thing and just say, hey, there's some things, some medical procedures and scientific breakthroughs we're just not privy to, I guess. Initially, the studio was thinking it would be Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger in these roles, but when John Woo took it, he thought Travolta and Nicolas Cage would be better. And Nicolas Cage, when they went to him, because remember, he's the villain, he's like, I don't want to be the villain. I mean, I'm in a place in my career, I'm a hero, I'm heroic, I do heroic things. But they convinced him basically through most of the movie he's the good guy. Because remember, Sean Archer goes undercover as Castor Troy, so he's wearing the mask. So anyway, Nicolas Cage gets to be the good guy for most of the movie. Okay, so there you have it. A great performance watching this is John Travolta, because you can see him when he makes the transformation from the good guy to the bad guy. His speech pattern and the way he talks, it's all very reminiscent of Nicolas Cage. You know, it's very subtle, you know, the way he kind of does it. Nicolas Cage doesn't really do that as much, so at times it got a little confusing, to say the least. Another thing I found kind of interesting was there's a lot of Greek mythology used in this movie. Obviously, you have Castor and Pollux, the two characters who are the zodiacal sign of Gemini. Sean Archer is reminiscent of Sagittarius, and I learned that Gemini and Sagittarius are on opposite ends of the zodiacal. Is that even how you pronounce it? Zodiacal? I don't know. Opposite ends of that spectrum. That's kind of interesting as well. The movie was called Face Off, as you know, for obvious reasons. John Woo insisted that they put the little slash in between the face and the off because they didn't want people to think it was a hockey movie. As if there was any confusion. So there you go. John Woo had recently worked with John Travolta in Broken Arrow, which is another thing where Travolta obviously plays the villain in that, so we know he doesn't have... you know, when you're Nicolas Cage, you're the hero. I guess you always want to be the hero. If you're John Travolta, you just want good, meaty roles. I don't know. Kind of interesting. Other people that were thought to, that they wanted to put in this movie, John Woo talked about Jean-Claude Van Damme, who again he went on to work with in Hard Target. Also Michael Douglas. All these interesting actors. Other actors you could see in this movie. Gina Gershon is in this. Margaret Cho has a very small role. The list goes on and on. It's an all-star cast. What can I tell you? In the crazy prison, it was called Erewhon, which was nowhere backwards. So there you go. They had to wear these magnetic boots all the time for some reason to keep those prisoners in line. I discovered that those were the same boots used in the filming of Super Mario Brothers. I will not be doing Super Mario Brothers on the B-Movie Club. I gotta draw the line somewhere. Enough's enough. Okay? Another thing you might want to know, there's a scene, which is kind of interesting, where it's the cops led by the evil Sean Archer smashing in and chasing the heroic Castor Troy with his bad guy compatriots. They put the headphones on this little boy's head to kind of block out the sounds of the gunfire. I don't know how loud those speakers were, but anyway. And the song is, When You Wish Upon a Star. It was sung by Olivia Newton-John, uncredited. So there you go. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's very John Woo-esque. There's a scene, the big showdown between Castor Troy and Sean Archer at the end takes place in, I guess it's like a Catholic church, where they still do a Latin mass for some reason, and it's on the beach. So, and then during the funeral, there's like birds, doves flying. It's like, I don't think they want birds flying around in the middle of the church. Call me crazy. It's very artistic, but nonetheless, typically they try to shoo out the birds who are flying in. I don't know. Action's great. It's considered kind of the unofficial Nicolas Cage trio, including The Rock and Con Air. If you look closely, there's a connection of a beige Volvo in all of these movies. Okay? Look for the beige Volvo. Why it's there, I do not know. But in every movie there's some reference to a beige Volvo. Somebody falls on a beige Volvo. Anyway, see, these are the kind of tidbits you get when you watch the B-Movie Club. Okay? So spread the word, please. It currently holds a 94% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I enjoyed Face Off a great deal. I actually enjoyed The Rock or Con Air more. There's a little bit more fun to it. There were a lot of scenes. Pretty much every scene with Nicolas Cage was a little too serious, a little too dark, where John Travolta was so over the top. That added, especially, again, his impressions of Nicolas Cage. Brilliant. Brilliant, I say. So check that out. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix. Next week, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the horror genre, early 70s. The Omen, starring Gregory Peck, that fine actor, Lee Remick, and the son of Satan himself. Okay? So check that out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. Send in any questions, comments, feelings, thoughts, anything you want to get off your chest, anything you want to say at all. Send them off to me and I'll talk about it on the show. I can't wait. Please. Again, you can reach me on YouTube. You can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me on Twitter. Spread the word. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. If you dress like it's Halloween, then ghouls are going to try to get into your pants. That's just good advice for all of us, I think. So mark that down. Put it on a post-it. Put it on your... It's like The Secret, really, you know. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Next week we'll do The Omen. Be well.